What is going on, YouTube people? That is right. It is the weekly sports card market update, but it is on a Saturday. What the hell's going on here? I figured with the NFL playoffs going on, I had a little time Friday night that I would record a day early. So this is going to go up Saturday morning, recording Friday evening. So there will not be a weekly market update on Sunday. But it just allows me the ability to not be kind of handcuffed when talking about this upcoming weekend's games. This video will be out before the first game kicks off. It was just weird last week talking about players and cards when the games hadn't been played yet, but they would have already been played by the time you watch the video in every case. So switching it up a little bit for this week. This will not be the new norm or anything like that, but maybe for this week and maybe next week, just kind of work through the NFL playoffs here. So let's get caught up on some quick little news bites and then dive into charts and graphs. We will be football heavy today, though we will be discussing a little NBA and just a very little bit of baseball as well. Busy news week, to be quite honest. Most of the stuff I did videos on, but some of the stuff I did not. One of the things that I did not was actually two of the things that I did not, both PSA related. PSA gave an update on the Mark's Cards situation. We won't dive into it, but just if you still have cards from Mark's Cards tied up that you have not gotten back yet, go to PSA's website, look at the communication center. They put up a post about that. Their goal is to have those all out of their building by the end of February. They're basically about done, but it sounds like they still have a handful of cards that they're having trouble getting in contact with people or getting information, whatever. But if you still have cards that you don't have back in your hand from Mark's Cards, go read that blog post on the PSA communication website. We did not talk about that in a video this week. The other thing, and I really haven't dug into this yet. That's part of the reason why I haven't done any type of video on it. I've just been kind of tied up with other things. The new Golden Marketplace opened this week. From what I have seen, the biggest thing that I've seen so far, honestly, at just a very, very, very high level, and this isn't me digging into it, this is just me picking it up secondhand, is people really complaining about shipping prices being super high and people kind of having weird cards on there and that sort of stuff. That's really all I know about it at this point. I have not had time to dig in. Honestly, I would keep an eye on the weekly auctions that they're running. If there's not a lot of eyeballs on it right at the beginning, you might be able to get some steals, even with an increased shipping price. So I haven't dug in. I don't even know what's running. I don't know when they run. But anytime one of these new auction platforms pops up, it might be worth poking in at just in case something slips through the cracks, because there's not as many eyeballs on it as there is like an eBay, a PWCC, even an alt. Sometimes you can get deals on stuff like that. SGC announced their special pricing for Pokemon, $15. Time will tell how much impact that has for them. We'll get a feel here over the back half of this month. My comment section was kind of meh on the whole thing, to be quite honest. I was a little surprised. But everyone was basically saying, I'll just keep using PSA or BGS, and to a lesser degree CGC. But most people were like, for the $19 or $15, whatever it is with PSA, they would just keep sending at that price for the value prop, that the quick flip maybe isn't as worth it. Now we'll see if that changes. They timed this extremely well, as if you're a Pokemon person, you know this. Crown Zenith launched on Friday, and people are going nuts for it. Tons of packs will be getting ripped open this weekend. So if you're trying to quick flip that stuff and you want it back in a couple days, the SGC could potentially be a play if you don't want to play the waiting game with sending it off to PSA and then waiting for the card to come back in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 5 weeks. My order, just to kind of give you a quick update, my $15 order that got checked in right after the first of the year, that is now sitting in QA1. It sat in assembly for about a week. It just moved into QA1. Everything I've heard from people is that QA2 is a nightmare land and shipping is a nightmare land right now. The speculation is on this is because they are now, which we've never actually talked about this in a video, they kind of slipped this in. PSA is now imaging every card before it leaves, regardless of service tier. In the past, they only did this with high-end cards. Now they're doing it with everything. So a $15 J-Rod base is getting imaged. If it went in at that, it doesn't matter the grading tier, it is getting scanned in. So I have to imagine that is slowing things down. They're grading 1 million cards a month. That means they're scanning in 1 million cards a month. Doesn't seem like it would be a lot of extra steps, but anytime you have that much stuff going through, and maybe it's not, maybe it's something else that's holding things up. That's just a speculation going around on why orders seem to really be kind of clogging up in QA2 and shipping. So I'll see how mine goes as it continues to work its way through the process. I'm very curious for the grades on that submission, and also curious if I get upcharged or not. I think there's a potential I get upcharged on at least one card, possibly two, depending on how the grades come out on those. So, in addition to that, big Panini nonsense week with the swapped patches that we talked about in a video earlier this week, and then also the redemption stuff. I am curious, so feel free to fire it in the comments of this video if you got notification, if you had an outstanding redemption and you're getting packs for it. Just post what the card was and that you're getting packs for it, or a pack for it. I don't know if you're getting multiple packs, one pack, or if you even know. I saw one person say they had a Marquise Brown RPA and they got shipping notification on Friday of something coming to them. They assume a pack. Packs, don't know. So anything like that comes across, if you get packs sent to you, just in a video, just post like, hey, by the way, doesn't have to be tomorrow or this video. If it's one in a week or two and you get shipping notification, but it sounds like most were going out this weekend. Who knows with Panini? So that's kind of the news stuff. A little bit of a long intro, but let's go ahead and dive into some charts and graphs. Like I said, heavy news week, a lot of stuff going on. Dive into some charts and graphs. Market Movers, link in the description down below. It's $1 for the first month. If you want to try it, try it. If you don't want to try it, don't try it. No skin off my back, but it is my data tool of choice. First up, football, Trevor Lawrence. The Gold Boy playing later today against Patrick Mahomes. His stuff has seen a nice bump up this week, and I am looking at, what did I pull here? I think 14 days. Yeah, 14 days. This is kind of his main stuff. The only thing that I did not pull was his Silver Prism PSA 10 because the pop report is very low on it, and none have actually sold since the game. But you see green across the board. For the most part, he's up about 20 to 30%. The one at the top there, the Optic Hollow, shows only up 10%, but one has not sold in 8 days. So keep that in mind. But everything else, the PSA 9 Silver, 30%. I even pulled a rookie ticket auto, up 33%. PSA 9 Optic Hollow, 30%. Silver Raw, I pulled his Raw Silver Prism, 25%. So basically across the board, his stuff is up 30%. Now, if they lose this weekend, Mahomes bounces them out, which, you know, is likely. I believe Kansas City's almost a 10-point favorite. Does all this stuff just go right back to where it was? Like in 2 weeks, am I talking about all this stuff being back down 30%? I don't know. Probably a decent chance. This seems like a very short window to sell. If you have T-Law that is reasonable to buy back, you probably should have already sold it. I could see a lot of eBay nonsense happening, and I've seen more and more reports of this, where let's say people will bid or buy into Trevor Lawrence stuff today, and then if he doesn't win, if he loses, they won't pay, and then if he wins, they'll pay. I've seen some reports of some shenanigans like that going around, kind of working through, not really loopholes, because you have 4 days to pay, and then they'll just take the unpaid item strike, because the card's probably going to go right back down the next day. And to be fair, you'll see this with sellers too, pulling a bunch of nonsense. They'll sell it before the game starts, they'll win, and then all of a sudden their cat threw up on it and they can't send it to you. So this does go both ways. But Lawrence, generally speaking, up a ton. The other big winner of the week, Danny Dimes. Once again, 14-day charts here. All his stuff is way, way up. This is his XRC from Select. Don't pull these very often, but I just saw that it was on the price movements chart and that it had jumped up a bunch and it had some recent sales, so I figured why not. Population count 52 on that PSA 10. That is up 256% in 14 days. Silver Prism PSA 10 up 100%. His field level only up 10%. and the base prism up 40%. So huge gains on Danny Dimes. He looks great. The Giants team looks a little thin. They really don't have like a stud wide receiver. Obviously, Saquon's really good. We'll see what they could do against the Eagles, how healthy Hurts actually is. They're about a touchdown favorite, I believe. But a lot of people are kind of predicting an upset there. And if they upset the Eagles, whew, his stuff will go to the moon. He's another one, though. If he loses this week, are we talking about 50, 60, 70% losses in 2 weeks? The downside seems to take a little bit longer. I did not pull Herbert. He needs a little bit more time to marinate. It looked like his stuff was slowly ticking down. But when you looked at a 2-week chart overall, it was still kind of green. So I held off on showing off any Herbert stuff, but it did look like he was ever so slightly ticking down. Dak Prescott, coming off the Monday night win against Tom Brady. His stuff's up a little bit. He doesn't have a ton of stuff because he's from 2015 or 2016 rather. So I just pulled a Silver Prism PSA 10. This stuff's a lot lower population. So like his optic hollows, there's not a lot of them out there. They don't sell as frequently. Up about 40% in the PSA 10, up about 10% in the PSA 9. They play the 49ers in the Brock Purdy Mania game. We'll see what happens with that on Sunday afternoon. San Francisco is a slight favorite. Dak could get another big bump up. If they knock off the 49ers, who's considered the best team in the NFC, he could potentially get a pretty big bump there. If Purdy knocks off, plus the Cowboys factor, if Purdy knocks off the Cowboys and they keep on trucking, Purdy Mania, baby. We talked about that a bunch this week, too. Next up, Joe Burrow. Flat. Flatty, flat, flat. Not doing nothing. This is over the last 14 days as well. Silver Prism PSA 9, because not a lot of 10s had sold. Down 30%, actually. Optic Hollow PSA 10, flat. And his field level silver PSA 10, flat. Obviously, kind of a weird game last week. And I think people are just assuming that maybe Josh Allen's going to bounce him this week, so they're not getting super hyped for it. We'll see what happens. If he knocks off Allen and the Bills, which should be a fantastic game, I believe Buffalo's favored by like 6 or so in that one. And then all the narrative street in that game with the rematch from the DeMar Hamlin stuff, all that narrative will be filtering around that. Burrow lost a couple offensive linemen this week. That's concerning, as that was an issue with the Bengals in the past, and they kind of fixed that in the offseason, and now they've lost a couple to injury in that playoff game against the Ravens. We'll see what his stuff does, but it's just going to come down to if he can knock off Allen or not. Purdy, we talked about him a bunch already. We're only going to touch on this for a quick second. Interesting enough, since I posted that video the other day, his base mosaic is starting to tick back down again. This peaked at like $60. I think there was multiple sales in around the $60 point. It's back down to 44. It started at 44. So it peaked here at 66 on the 15th, which I believe is actually when I recorded that video. And it's been ticking down ever so slightly. There's been 414 of these sell already. The red has held up a little bit better, though it has dipped as well. Once again, when I recorded that video, this was going for about 200 to 220. Last sales at 210. So you can see the little downward arc there. Only 10 of those have sold, though. Once again, it's all going to come down to what happens tomorrow with the Purdster. I'll give some predictions. If anyone wants to give some hot takes, feel free. I think the Chiefs beat the Jaguars. That's not anything shocking there. I'll join the hype squad. Let's say Danny Dimes takes out the Eagles. Maybe hurts his shoulder. Still hurts. Pun intended. I'm going to go Bills over Bengals. I don't like that they're missing offensive linemen. And then I'm going to go Cowboys over 49ers. So you guys can rip me to shreds about those picks. That's just all straight up. No spreads or nothing. That's it for football for now. Let's go ahead and jump into basketball. Just want to touch on a couple quick things here. Zion, just been tracking his stuff as he's been out with that injury and is still going to be out for a few more weeks, I believe. His silver prisms continue to dip. PSA 10 down about 7%, and the PSA 9 taking a little bit of a harder hit, down 20%. That one does have more recent sales, so the 10 could be trending along with it. We just don't know yet. LeBron stuff. This one was intriguing. This This is his Topps Chrome, PSA 10, PSA 9, and also his Bowman Rookie and Stars. Just to I wanted to look at something else because I saw the Chrome was in the green, the PSA 10, and I was curious if everything else was going with it or if it was just a one-off. This is over the last 30 days, up across the board. PSA 10 Chrome up 30%. Rookies and Stars, PSA 9 up 30%. The PSA 10 up about 10%. BGS 9.5 up about 80%. And a PSA 9 Topps Chrome is up about 24%. So could just be temporary. We're post holidays. People may have a little bit extra money in their hands because they're not spending Christmas gifts. Could be causing this little bump up. He's also approaching the all-time scoring record. Could be causing this little bump up. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that the sports card market is saved. Things are in the green again. It is not that simple. And to be quite frank, none of us really knows anyways. This could just be a short-term blip, or it could be the start of something. My best guess, probably more short-term blip than anything else. As I've been saying for a while, a lot of this stuff is going to come down more so to macroeconomic factors than anything else. Inflation, the Fed, debt ceiling nonsense, a dozen eggs going for PSA 10 prices on stuff. Ridiculous. Next up, just a quick little check-in on the Joker. Been playing out of his mind. This is the last 30 days. Potentially looking to win his third MVP in a row. Absolutely massive season. The Nuggets are playing really, really good. His PSA 10 base over the last 30 is up 20%, and his Silver Prism. This is in a PSA 9, not a 10. Not a lot of PSA 10s in the Pop Report. They don't sell very often. That's up 32%. Going for the same price as the PSA 10 base. Curious, which would you rather have? For me, I would rather have the 9 Silver any day of the week over the PSA 10 base. The PSA 9 Silver is pop 300. The PSA 10 base is pop 812. I take the silver all day. Plus, the old silvers look really, really good. It's all silvered. Looks way, way better than the more modern ones from Prism. But it's interesting that those two are going for literally the exact same price and very similar price movements on them. Baseball, really, really quick. This is the 30-day indexes for baseball. 2018 to 2020, 2010 to 2017, and 2010 to present. This one has they have different cards in them. I don't really want to get into the specifics. These are ones that Market Rumors has pre-built. I just wanted to get a general vibe check on where baseball is over the last 30 days. And for the most part, it's flat. You can see the more modern one is up 4%. The other two are down slightly at 1% and 1.2%. We are starting to see some positive movements in certain players. But I think right now, a lot of the eyes and the money are focused on the the NFL playoffs as we kind of move in and out of that. And I think as teams continue to get knocked off of that, more eyes will turn towards baseball and NBA. Baseball, pitchers and catchers are about to report. And basketball, we are 3 weeks away from the trade deadline. I call that Woj bomb season. That's typically when people start tuning back into the NBA. They get excited for it around Christmas, for all the Christmas Day games. Tune out for a little bit, and then by then, most of the NFL stuff will be over, and we'll kind of be in that mid-February, really dull period in the world. It's bleak weather outside for most of the country. You don't have football anymore. There isn't baseball yet. So it's really just kind of the NBA as the active sport, and you'll kick that off with trade season. Whether there's a lot of deals or not, people just love NBA Twitter and digging through all that stuff. One baseball thing I did want to touch on really quick, J-Rod. I don't want to do super deep dive this because we don't really have a full picture yet. I pulled a bunch of this is 2022 rookies only, not 2019. I'm not including his first Bowman on this. Just to kind of see how things are sorting out. But I still think we need a little bit more time. We're not seeing Topps Chrome stuff on here yet because that stuff just all got ripped and is sitting at PSA. And I think we need that to kind of show the full picture. Basically what I'm curious about, and if you have a hot take on this, feel free to drop it in the comments down below. What is going to be, outside of his first Bowman stuff, what is going to be the card that people want of his? Like, what's going to be viewed as his primary rookie card, if you will? Not necessarily which one is technically the first card and all that stuff, but the one that the market gravitates to. This to me feels kind of like an Ohtani situation in a different version. Obviously, J-Rod's going to have first Bowman autos. Ohtani doesn't. But just the way that there's tops update, short prints, SSPs, SPs, SSPs, Gatorade baths, logo fractors, sapphires. There's a lot of different options out there. And once again, this list is not even painting the full picture. This is missing Topps Chrome base. It's missing Topps Chrome refractors, X fractors. It's missing the new Sapphire update that just came out. My boxes should be here any day, so look forward to a box break of that coming up. But I'm just very interested, and mostly like I'm thinking sub $1,000 card. Obviously, the Sapphires, the short prints, those are going for $1,500 plus. What's gonna be that 500-ish, 600-ish, maybe even 700-ish dollar card that are the one people are chasing? I don't know. Personally, I really like the Gatorade bath one. I don't know if that's going to be the answer. I really don't. I don't have one. I'm just speculating that a lot of people are going to like that image. On the higher end side, I have not seen one in person, but in images, the logo fractor actually looks really nice. It's extremely low population, but those are short printed, but it's like pop 9, I think it says. Yeah, pop 9 and a PSA 10. That's the other thing I'm kind of curious about, how all this shakes out. What do the pop reports look like a month from now, especially on the short printed stuff, and we get a better feel for how short printed is his short prints from the various different sets. And I'm not even including, I don't even have anything on this list from like Topps Heritage. That's normally not a product that would be considered one of his main ones. So I'm just kind of curious where this shakes out. Curious for your thoughts and opinions on that. And once again, we'll dig back into this, but I think we need a little bit more data, some more pop reports to flush out, some more sales history. It's probably going to take most of the winter to kind of settle on this. We might not even know until we get to almost the season getting ready to start on kind of what the market's deeming as one of his primary rookie cards. That's why I know Filmington would say the easy answer is just get his first Bowman autos in whatever parallel that you can afford, base or otherwise, if you really want to collect the player. We'll see. So that's all I have for you guys and girls. Upcoming this week, we got a mail day. We have a Sapphire box break at some point in time and some other nonsense. So we'll catch you on the next one. Peace.